Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. Gold has a reputation as a safe haven for investors. When there's global uncertainty, like we've seen in recent months, the gold price generally climbs. In the latest case, the war in Ukraine has triggered a jump in the gold price to above $2,000 an ounce. But how much attention does a miner pay to the price of gold on a day-to-day basis at least? After all, a gold mine is very much a long-term project, while the price of the metal itself can fluctuate day by day. Dennis Karp is the Executive Chairman of ASX-listed gold and silver miner Manuka Resources. Dennis, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thanks very much, Sean.
I would like to get a 101 on gold and silver mining from you, which I will get to in a moment. But up front, how important is the price of gold to someone operating a mine? I know investors buy and sell, sort of the market leaders, the Newcrest and that, as well as Manuka Resources and all those other gold mines on the price. But how much do you care about it on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, we watch it extremely closely. For us, above 2,200 Aussie gold. So at the moment, with the gold price where it is, it's been over 2,800 Aussie dollars per ounce of gold. But above 2,200, it becomes very profitable for us. So 2,500 was a target of ours, and we've recently been able to lock in some sales at the 2,750 to 2,800 level, which has been fantastic. So we do watch it closely. We have a hedging program which can be triggered if we feel that the circumstances are right.
Okay. So Manuka, tell me a little bit about that. You operate out of the Cobar region in Western New South Wales?
That's right. We're in the Central West. We have two projects. We have the Mount Boppy Gold Project, which is about 50 k's east of Cobar. And then we have the Manuka. So we prefer the honey version of Manuka as opposed to the Canberra version. We have the Manuka, or the Winter Silver Project, which is about 100 kilometres south of Cobar. And we've been running both projects together. We've been mining and processing gold from Mount Boppy, and we're just about to start production on the Winter Silver Project, which will be the largest primary producer of silver in Australia.
Wow, okay. So we're going to go to the 101 stage for my sake here, if you don't mind, Dennis. Gold and silver, are they normally mined together? Are there many companies that do both?
Silver is normally a byproduct. It normally travels with lead and zinc or some of the other base metals, whereas gold can be mined, due to the value of gold, it can be mined as a primary product in its own right. So our Mount Boppy Gold Project has been running for over 100 years now. Between 1895 and 1925, it really had its heyday. It produced 500,000 ounces of gold in that time at a grade of around 15 grams, which is almost half an ounce. And we've been mining and producing from it over the last 2 years. And actually, we've been, even though we call ourselves a gold miner from that area, we actually have been producing pretty much 50% of our output has been gold and 40% of the output has been silver. But
right.
In those quantities, silver doesn't make much material difference to what you receive, to the ultimate revenues you receive.
Okay. So I want to get onto that kind of the push that you're going into silver in a moment, but at Mount Boppy, I'm just interested in that particular mine. Can you restart mining there after a gap of almost 100 years? I'm getting towards that because of technology. Like, what is it that makes you go back to Cobar and 50 kilometres east of Cobar and decide, actually, we can get more gold out of this disused mine effectively? What is it?
So look, I really short-circuited the story. It has been mined in the 70s at Mount Boppy and then again in the 1990s. And there was a brief exercise around 2007-8. But we've been able to go back in there now, we started processing from Mount Boppy in April 2020 due to the higher gold price, due to the fact that recoveries have improved. And what we've been basically focusing on is, historically, Mount Boppy was an underground mine, so lots of stopes and tunnels and shafts and so on. And we've been going in, drilling and blasting and removing 5 meters of material, of ore at a time, which brings up all the old historical timbers. That's an opportunity in themselves. But that's what we've been doing. We've been taking what was an underground mine and converting it into an open pit mine. more of an open pit mine.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've just been processing, sorry to cut in, Sean, but we've just been really processing and extracting what the very generous old timers left behind.
Right. Righto. Now, the idea that you're doing gold and silver, but you are pushing more into silver, is that correct?
Correct. So we have two projects, and then we have the Winter Silver Project. That historically was the largest silver producer in Australia, primary silver producer in Australia. And then in 2013-14, when the prices dipped, that's at that point in time, they shut the project. Today's prices, and certainly have bumped up over the last couple of weeks, but today's prices are close to 35 Aussie dollars per ounce, and this becomes an exciting operation.
But very different extraction and production processes, I'd imagine, though, between gold and silver.
No, actually, surprisingly, they're very similar. So we use our Winter Silver Project, the plant. We've been using that to process the Mount Boppy gold ores, and now we just transition across to silver. So it's actually, they're both leach circuits. They both run off leach circuits. We have put in a smaller modular gold circuits. So our elution circuit is a purposely designed gold circuit, but otherwise we now revert back to what was a silver elution column.
Elution, just want to know what that word means. It's a great word.
Basically, it's where we look to separate the gold from the carbon, or the silver in this instance, from what will be the silver going forward from the carbon.
Okay, so you've recently purchased a new flotation plant. How does that fit into that process? This is really good because I'm learning a lot here, Dennis.
Firstly, it goes towards our expectations. Mount Boppy and Winter both operate in Cobar, and they're both very shallow mines, which is quite unusual for the Cobar region. A lot of our neighbours are mining at depths of over 2 kilometres deep. Our Mount Boppy project is down to 120 metres only, and the silver project actually at this point in time is only down to 60 metres. Right. So we do expect exploration success going deeper, and the benefit of having a float circuit to tack on to our leach plant. So the Winter project is a leach circuit. We do expect the flotation circuit to actually assist with recoveries substantially, even with existing Mount Boppy ores. If we put that through a flotation circuit as well as the leach, we'll probably increase our recoveries from 75% up to the 80s, 84, 85%. But if in the event we start mining sulfides, which are the deeper ores, we would need a flotation circuit to extract maximum value out of those ores. So it adds to our infrastructure within the basin.
Stay with me, Dennis. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Dennis Karp, Executive Chairman of Manuka Resources. How is your relationship? How do you manage that relationship with Indigenous Australians and what you do? Obviously, Rio, a couple of years ago, had a PR disaster as well as a disaster for First Australians. I'm just interested in how you manage that, particularly given Cobar certainly has a lot of history there.
So it does have a lot of history, and it's a very old mining town as well. One of the advantages we have, because we're going back to two projects which have been mined previously, is they are both fully permitted. So the guidelines of interacting with the local communities have already been established. And so we just continue to fulfill those guidelines and contribute further. So, for example, you'll see a lot of press coming up in the weeks ahead. There's the opening of the Cobar Sound Chapel, which is a fantastic project. A sound chapel out in the desert has actually received press in New York. It's been receiving press in London. And one of Australia's most famous architects, Glenn Murcutt, has paired off with one of Australia's most famous composers, George Lentz, and they've developed and constructed the sound chapel in a beautiful old water tank. And then that's been a major project. So we are the core sponsor of that project, and we'll look to grow that sponsorship into the local community. There's a string quartet will be coming from Sydney to play at the opening, and then we'll be looking to bring them up once or twice a year. And again, play at the local schools, perhaps have an award. So we're continually looking to how we can put back into the community. That's a niche project, which seems to be getting a lot of coverage, and just, I guess, is an example of what we're looking to do going forward.
Working out of Cobar, though, it's a remote Cobar. It's a long way away. It must be difficult in terms of logistics, just getting equipment there. And when you're building these mines and also building the plants, it's no mean task, that.
Actually, Sean, Cobar's good. Cobar's really good because there's an airstrip at Cobar itself. That there's a town of about 4,000 people there, and there are 5 producing mines in the region. There are about 20 explorers, but there are 5 producing mines. We're obviously one of those in the region. It's a good little hub for communication, for mining equipment, and so on. It's about 700 kilometres from Sydney, but you can land in Cobar. There's direct flights there 4 times a week, I think, at the moment. You can land in Dubbo and drive in, which is about a 3-hour drive from Dubbo. Or we actually have an airstrip on site, so we can, grab if it's something urgent, we can get a small flight from Bankstown and land on site.
Okay. So where does Manuka end up in the next 5 to 10 years? Hopefully, from your point, extracting a lot of silver and gold. Is that right?
Yep. So our next 6 to 8 months are extremely exciting. We'll turn the taps on for silver. We'll start silver production before the end of March. And the beauty of our initial tranche of silver is that it's all from stockpiles, and the stockpiles are sitting right at our ball mill, right at the plant. They've been previously mined and they're waiting to be processed. That's going to take us, I guess, 6 to 8 months. And that'll iron out all any wrinkles that may appear in our processes as we transition to mining in the years ahead. We expect to produce close on 1 million ounces of silver from the next 6 to 8 months, processing those stockpiles. And then we'll be looking to, as I say, move into mining. We have a 50 million ounce or 51 million ounce resource at Wannawinta. That's a silver resource, and then we'll be looking to bring out a reserve following confirmation of some of our cost structures from processing of the stockpiles. We'll look to bring out a silver reserve over the next 60 to 90 days.
Dennis, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thank you very much, Sean.
That was Manuka Resources Executive Chairman Dennis Karp. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business podcast. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.